I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me as we explore places to go and things to do. Got a wonderful guest today, an actress, performer who I have admired for years. I've known her work, and you'll know more about her if you don't already. Her name is Tovah Feldshuh. She's great. Just closed at the Jewish Repertory Theater in a show, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And we're going to find out all about this wonderful, versatile performer. And Tovah, I'm so glad that you came here today.
Norman, it's great to be here, back in my home territory.
Yeah, it's one of the things I want to talk about, but you're so versatile. You do cabaret, you do theater, you do television. How would you characterize yourself? What category are you in? Are you an actress? Will you tell me?
Yeah, I'm an actress who inhabits other people as fully as I can. When those people sing, I sing. When those people dance, I dance. If it's Martha Graham, you become Martha Graham. If it's an opera singer, you become an opera singer. And I think the fertility of your imagination and the fullness of your hope helps you on that journey. You know, you commit and you do the best you can.
But you are a singer,
Yep.
but you don't always sing.
Nope.
You have done Law and Order, for example. You've done soaps. You do straight dramatic parts.
Yes.
You've done so many different things. You were the original Yentl 20 years ago.
That's right.
On Broadway.
That's right.
That was early in your career, wasn't it?
Yep, it was. It was the beginning of my career.
You had just come to New York.
Just come to New York from Minneapolis, where I was a spear carrier at the Tyrone Guthrie Theater. I was an apprentice and a journeyman.
You mentioned your Westchester roots. Your family is from Westchester.
From Scarsdale.
From Scarsdale.
Yes, yes.
And you went to Sarah Lawrence?
I went to Sarah Lawrence. I went to Temple Israel Center in White Plains. That was my religious training. And played on all the intramural sports for both Scarsdale High School and Quaker Ridge School. So I'm a Westchester kid.
Your father, who passed away recently,
Yes.
Was an attorney.
Yes, he was a litigator, a wonderful litigator.
You have any theater background in your family?
My father's a litigator. He wrote his own plays. My brother David heads the theater at Cornell University, and he's a playwright. And I'm proud to say his play, Miss Evers' Boys, was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize and will now be done on HBO by Alfre Woodard and Larry Fishburne. Very, very wonderful. My mother, Lily, is wonderfully active in many either Jewish organization or Democratic Party organizations. So, and she still lives in the house I grew up in, in Scarsdale.
I recently interviewed Oscar Hammerstein III.
Oh, wow.
And the whole family, from his great-great-grandfather to his grandfather, who, of course, wrote all the great shows, and his uncles, his cousins, everybody is in the business. I asked if it was in the genes. I'm going to ask you the same question. He said, no, everybody went into the family business.
That's very funny.
What is it that takes someone and puts them in the theater? I mean, your father was involved.
Right, I would say my father was a performer. I mean, he loved the courtroom. He's good at his work. And he worked until the day he had a stroke, which was August 15th of last year. Mm-hmm. He worked right up to the minute. He never retired. Nature retired him, but he never retired. And no question, it gave him a full and colorful life. You know, it's what Joe Campbell says. You have to follow your bliss, see what turns you on. I applied to law school. I really didn't want to become a lawyer, and I won a scholarship to the Tyrone Guthrie Theater in acting. I became the McKnight Fellow in acting. They only gave 4 out in the United States a year, and I felt very fortunate to have been chosen, and I said, there's promise here if I can win this award. And that was it. My brother had won it 6 or 7 years before myself, and we became financially independent from my parents upon our graduation from college and within our given field. I mean, we were lucky. My brother and I never had to wait on tables. We didn't do the auxiliary jobs.
I have the feeling that you're always working. Is that because of your versatility?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, in the sense that it's useful to directors or to people's needs. I love, on the television, I play a lot of lawyers. I was brought up around a litigator. I'm married to a wonderful Harvard lawyer, Andrew Levy. So I do a lot of work in the courtroom, whether it's Law and Order, L.A. Law, Against the Law. I played the lawyer for Mia Farrow in a mini-series recently. So your best work usually comes from your experience or your ability to research it and then commit. research it, and commit.
When you sing, and we'll talk about some of the one-woman shows and the cabaret thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much emotion in what you're doing. You're really the person who is up there. The show that you just did, which we'll go into some detail, you go into so many different characters, and you are those people.
I hope so, yeah.
And you never know when you say you hope so.
I hope so. No, it's my purpose. My purpose is to inhabit these people, to give them the grace and the honor they deserve, to love them, to let them illuminate the audience from their points of view, or just merely to present them and let the audience draw their own conclusions. I have one character, Molly Kelly Kugelberg, the child of a mixed marriage. I don't make any statement. I just present her. I present her dual identity. I present her confusion. And I love her. And she's very much a product of the United States.
We have a copy of the playbill of that, which we're going to show in a moment.
Good.
And I just want to go into that a little bit. First I want to ask you this question. You do cabaret. This one-woman show is cabaret, but in a theater setting.
That's correct. I was seen in concert at the Hudson Guild Theater in New York, November 28th of last year, by Louise Westergaard, the producer of Sophisticated Ladies. And she said, I want to do a one-woman show with you. This is a one-woman show. But she saw me in concert. The concert took place on a stage. And I did very much what you saw at the Playhouse 91, except with patter, meaning that a concert is driven by the personality of its performer.
But then we have that playbill. We have Tovah out of her mind.
Tovah out of her mind, and she is.
Why? I mean,
because
why
the
title?
pun. The pun is thoughts out of our mind, just simple thoughts from my mind, from my imagination.
But the illustration gives
right,
kind of
and
a
the other thing
look.
is the crazy idea of Tovah going nuts, pushing the edges of the envelope. And I think doing a one-legged ballerina, an opera singer that can't find her speaking voice, pretty much fulfills certain traits. Miss Subway's Muffy, this big, this debutante caught on public transportation. There's some very zany things in the show.
That may be going to off-Broadway.
We're in negotiations now to move Tovah Out of Her Mind to open at the end of September, October, either at a small Broadway house or an off-Broadway house for an unlimited run. So people will come visit me then.
Where do the ideas come from for a one-woman show?
Oh, for the ideas come from me. That's why the credits, and I owe everything to Larry Ambrose, who's a brilliant writer, as well as who wrote most of the show, Rick Mitz, who wrote Grandida and Madame Victoria, Jack Gottlieb, who let me borrow his concepts about Gershwin, to apply Gershwin and Yiddish melodies and how they interact, and the great Jane Mushabek, who wrote Gioia Gormezano, the Sephardic cathartic woman.
So there's a lot of original material in the show.
There's a tremendous amount, but I'll go to Larry and I'll say, look, I speak fluent Spanish. I want to do a Spanish character. Let's think of a Spanish character. He'll say, what about Miss Subways? I go, let's go, Miss Subways. Let's put her in a pageant. I'll go, okay, she's in a pageant. How does she win? He says, well, she does a dramatic reading of the Subways rules and regulations. And it's very funny. To go, keep your hands off the closing doors, please. It's some crazy stuff.
Great number.
And then we search. I call up writers and I say, you have anything funny for me today? Have anything new, funny, poignant? Love to play a man. I want to put an African American in the show. There will be an African American boy, I hope, in the show by the fall. A French character. I have a French brother-in-law. A French family who lives in Paris that I'm related to. So these are how these things start. They start...
Out of your own experience.
Right, parce que je suis la famille Sombert, il habite Paris, moi je peux parler français, on va changer un petit peu, on va changer. And you start to deal with an idea of a French character. I'm working on one that is into the liberation of the snails. She says she's finished with the liberation of the whale. She wants to liberate the escargot, but she says, but the escargot wouldn't go. So I'm just working on her. She's in the computer. Hopefully she'll raise her head and get out. And
you also do some material by some wonderful writers who I'm familiar with, favorites of mine, Craig Cornelia.
Great, one of the great poets.
Wonderful material.
A great poet, lyricist. And the reason I'm able to, I feel, excel in his work is because he writes these very vivid characters, which has his requirements and his strictures on it, because that's like doing a play, stepping in. But to do this 75-year-old guy, Joe, who's retiring. And, Joe lives near Milwaukee Avenue. In fact, Milwaukee Avenue is from Chicago. But for me, it's not useful. So I put Milwaukee Avenue in Brooklyn near Canarsie. And that's the guy he is. He's Italian, he's Italian. And he reads Reader's Digest on the way to his wife's grave. And he's looking at the end of his life, and he's making it work. That's it. He's making it work. So he's great, Craig Cornelia. And Just a Housewife, the homage to women and the heroism of women, doing what's still viewed by the planet, I think, as pretty mundane chores, and it demands everything. Listen, it's much harder to be correct and good and on your toes with your children than it is in front of a house of hundreds of people where they're applauding you.
Talk about children. I remember many years ago, well, not that many, when you were in a show and you didn't take the curtain call.
That's right.
Because you had to go home and feed the baby.
That's right. I did. My infant, Amanda Claire Levy.
What show was that?
It was Last of the Red Hot Lovers. It was downtown. I did the first act, and I did it with great pleasure, but I asked permission from Stanley Breckner, the director, to please be excused because I had to breastfeed the baby. And Amanda was really just born. Listen, with this one-woman show, Out of Her Mind, or whatever we want to call it, however it shows up, I may do I have concerts this summer, July 5th and 6th, up at the Stockbridge Cabaret at Tanglewood. August 17th, right here at Old Oaks Country Club. Get your friends to take you. 24th and 25th in Dallas and in Houston, and then I'll be singing at the Hampton Classic at the end of the summer. And various other private gigs. We're being taken to an estate to sing for a private birthday party for a wonderful sum of money, I must say. It's really fun to do concert work.
But you're still doing film, you're still doing TV.
Yeah, sure.
How do you find the time and still to maintain a family life?
Well, the cabaret concert, one-woman show stuff, the one-woman show, as long as it's in New York City, and my wonderful producer, Louise Westergaard, understands that, we don't go out of town with Tovah Out of Her Mind for more than 2-week stints, a maximum 3 weeks if it lies over the children's vacation and they can be with me. But mostly, if I'm in a play that has to run 7 or 8 times a week, I have to do it in the city of my home city, which is New York City. Other than that, the concerts are one-night stands, and the movies, they're intense, and then you're finished. And sometimes you work, sometimes you don't. I finished my run of Out of Her Mind on Sunday. I'm not working for a minute here. I have a bar mitzvah to give for my beautiful son in 10 days. Then I'm taking him to Brazil to soccer camp. And then I come back and I prepare for a one-night concert in Philadelphia, one night up at the O'Neill Center at the Playwrights Conference, Waterford, Connecticut, June 29th. And then we rest, and I go up to Tanglewood July 4th weekend, and I take my family. They give you a cabin on a big estate.
Wonderful.
And my blessed saintly husband comes with me, and my daughter will come with me, and our son will be at sleepaway camp. Right. So I'm around very tolerant people, but the thing where you have to be vigilant, Andy, my husband, has been really extraordinarily good-natured about all this, but it's the children. I was at a Hebrew school graduation yesterday. I'm at field day for Spence School tomorrow. There's certain things that need to be met. Amanda has her tap dancing concert. I wouldn't miss it for the world, and thank God it all worked out. That matinee day, the tap dance concert was at 6 o'clock, so it's between matinee and evening.
I want to talk to you about Tovah Feldshuh, but first I do want to remind our viewers that I am talking today with Tovah Feldshuh, the actress, singer, performer, cabaret, theater, you name it. And we're getting a wonderful insight into someone with Westchester roots who has done wonderfully well in the theater. I said I wanted to talk to you about Tovah Feldshuh. Mm-hmm. Your name.
Yes.
So many people change their name. Your name is so distinctive.
Thank you.
And
sure is.
Has it worked for you or against you?
Both. I was born Terry Sue Feldshuh, which I say in the end of Act 1, in the Gershwin unit of Tovah Out of Her Mind. And I grew up, and I was at Sarah Lawrence College, and I had a boyfriend named Michael Fairchild. And he said, "What kind of a name is Terry Sue for you? It doesn't fit. You're not Southern, and it's not a formal name, and it's so girly, and you're such a, you have this low voice, and you're this gal, in the bud of my womanhood." So I said, well, I was called Tovah in Hebrew school. He said, Tovah, now that's a name. And he started calling me Tovah, and I quite liked it, and I changed it. And I never thought at my young age of the ramifications of taking such an ethnic name. I just thought it was a beautiful name, which it is. It is a beautiful name. And I went out to Minneapolis on my scholarship, and Tovah is a Danish name, as luck would have it. So to the Danes and the Swedes and the Scandinavians that populate that part of the country, they thought I was Tovah Feldshuh. They all asked me if I had, came from Copenhagen or various places in Denmark, my roots. So then it was that ethnic group. And it wasn't until I got back to New York that I realized how, quote, Jewish the name was considered by other Jews. But it ushered me into a play called Dreyfus in Rehearsal, directed by Garson Kanin, starring Ruth Gordon, without an audition. I had to audition for a part named Miriam Polotnik. Garson Kanin said, get Tovah Feldshuh. With a name like that, she's got to be right. And that's it. I had an interview like I'm being interviewed by you, Norman, and he said, you want the part? I said, yes. And I made my dramatic debut on Broadway with an interview. And from that came Yentl the Yeshiva Boy, which then became Yentl on Broadway. And same thing. I went in, I did audition, but boom, before I got home, I had that role. And maybe that name would help that break. Holocaust, no audition. Same thing. Interview, got the job. And serious theater, Shakespeare, Chekhov, I get very, very easily. Where I have to show my stuff is when I played Katharine Hepburn on television, where I play the Irish characters. And I feel I have a lot of Irish blood in me. I have a great love for the Irish, a great gift for gab, and maybe in some previous life I was some Irish Catholic.
But you also said that it sometimes works against you.
It does. I had to fight for those parts that are not of my ethnicity. I didn't get seen for the film of Sophie's Choice. There were things that I didn't get seen for Love Letters off Broadway, to do it once a week. Not interested.
Because of your name?
I said, you're seeing John Rubinstein, why don't you see me? I think so. Honestly, I do. Because I can play a wasp along with the best of them, as you well know. You saw me at the theater. I can do all those parts.
Now, you mentioned auditioning. Mm-hmm. Auditioning is a tough process for people in the theater.
Yeah.
That people have to go. Is there such a thing as not auditioning? You said you got a lot of parts without auditioning.
Yes, it's based on supply and demand. I clearly didn't audition to star in my own one-woman show. I had done Awake and Sing for this theater, and it was an enormous success the season before. And 2 seasons before that, I did A Fierce Attachment, which was a one-woman play given to me by the JRT. And again, it was a very big critical success. So when this happened, I was supposed to star in Minnie's Boys for the Jewish Rep Theater in New York, and either their rights fell through or whatever happened. Yeah. They said, do you have anything else? I said, well, I have a one-woman show about Tallulah Bankhead, which I'd like to do and plan to do with Mae Richards and Robert Kaufman in the future. They said, no, not Jewish enough. I said, well, I have my one-woman show that I do in cabaret and concert. They went, Jewish enough. I said, I don't know. It's a modular show. So we needed to make sure that though Tovah Out of Her Mind is pretty much a slice of Americana, it also had enough Judaica in it to be appropriate for Playhouse 91.
I was interested in the fact that Tony Walton was your scenic designer.
And William Ivey Long, both big people in the business.
Why?
Because they're my friends. Because they love me and they did me a favor. Because there is no budget. I love that theater. There is no budget at that theater. Did you notice I only had one dress? Yes. One beautifully made dress.
Oh, yeah, but that worked for you.
It worked great. It worked great. I imagine if we go on to off-Broadway or Broadway in the small Broadway house, we will obviously have a few more commercial values in the sense we will certainly have 2 dresses.
I didn't miss the fact that you didn't
I don't miss it either, but my
dress,
darling producer is very generous, besides buying me new shoes, which she didn't have to do for the run of the show, these designer shoes. Because our budget ran out after the dress. I said, I want the best dress. I said, use all the money for the dress. And I used my own shoes from my closet. She said, do you need anything? I said, I really like new shoes. She let me go buy new shoes.
Now cabaret, or cabaret in a theater, which is what this is different than playing in the theater, in someone else's production.
Absolutely.
Do you have preferences?
Yes.
Lend Me a Tenor, for example, which you had a very good run in. That was someone else's show. Sure. But this is yours.
Yeah. Do I have preferences? The diplomatic thing to say is no, that if you give me a great role, I'm a happy girl. And the truth is, if you do give me a great role, I am a happy girl. St. Joan, I'm dying to do St. Joan and plan to do that. Any of the Ibsens, Hedda Gabler, or the Nora in the Doll's House. So with a great role, you can go to town. I played Bessie in Awake and Sing last season. It was a lot of fun. But this is the ultimate freedom. It's the ultimate freedom. I'm the creator of my piece, creator with phenomenal collaborators. So I'm not alone, but I'm still the original spark.
You're the boss.
In the beginning.
You're the boss, really, when you come down to it.
Well, I guess so. I couldn't have done this as well without Gary Lyons, Jennifer Westfeldt, my creative consultants. They're brilliant. Without the generosity of Sarah Louise Lazarus, who was the director, who allowed Jennifer Westfeldt and Gary Lyons to be on
These
the
are
theater with me
names
all the
that
time.
you really never hear except
You will.
except during awards.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
when people go up there and talk about these unknown names to
Yeah.
the general public, but as you're saying right now, without them, none of this could happen.
It's really true, and that was the grace of the theater experience. You have so much help. You have a prop master. I had a brilliant production assistant named Adrienne Rebholz, who I hope will join with me next season. Ruth Kramer, who calls a perfect show, a stage manager who's fabulous.
People don't realize, and I've discussed this with other people, the stage manager's role really is
Crucial.
the one who is running
Crucial.
the show.
And she's a tough general. She's no joke, Ruth Kramer, but she calls a perfect show.
Have we talked about your accompanist?
Greatest. Scott Cady, the greatest. Well, he's with me all summer. We're gonna sing, make some money. That's the other thing. The poverty-stricken nature, even of being off Broadway, is a joke. But you don't go to off Broadway for money. You go for the sharing with the New York audiences and the recognition, the acknowledgement. The Times and all the reviews, and from there that parlays into other gigs, which will more than repay you.
You talk about reviews and parlaying.
That's right.
You've won a lot of awards. You've been
Yeah.
nominated so
Yeah.
many times for awards. You've won awards. That works for you, doesn't it? And we recently experienced the Tony Awards.
Yeah.
Why is it so important?
It isn't. It's just that people's perception. They perceive you more as a money maker, and they perceive you as somebody who can bring people into the theater. And the Tony is prestigious nationwide. Even Tony nominations are prestigious. Listen, Susan Lucci isn't doing so bad with 16 nominations. She's still the queen of soap opera, no matter how many people win the Emmy. So it's very interesting.
Well, she's making that work for her.
She's great. God bless her. She does what she does beautifully in her given field. She probably does it better than other people. I don't know.
I interviewed a Tony Award winner like 2 days after, a few years ago, and I asked him what it meant for him, and he said it means that I'm going to get a lot of calls to do things for people, and he's been working ever since.
That's right.
And Wayne Salento, who's a great choreographer.
He is working for Louise Westergaard on Dream, and he lives up here.
Of course,
I love him.
And
She adores him, and for good reason. He is very gifted and very kind.
he won it for Tommy, and that's when I interviewed him after. But I've also been watching his career for a long time. And
He's great. I've known him since Chorus Line.
wonderful guy.
You just, what you do. You love your work. Just keep doing your work. The cream rises to the top. Just do it. Do it
Does it?
humbly. Yeah, give it away. Enjoy your life.
What about all the talent that doesn't rise to the top?
I don't know. I think in the end, like you said, you were telling me the story before we went to tape about how you got this talk show. A lot of things in life has to do with relationship. Not just contract, but relationship. What's ethical, what works.
I'll put it to you another way. What I've always said is opportunity knocks, but you got to provide the door.
You do have to provide the door, and it's usually, again, built from a connection. I mean, I know that when we did Tovah at Vermont Playhouse 91, we hoped it would sell. We didn't know. No, we didn't know what kind of a following, but it sold. People showed up. It was great, and so it will go on.
Word of mouth is so essential, isn't it?
I think so.
When shows get bad reviews and then go on forever, it's not just promotion, it's not just advertising.
Right.
Word of mouth is so important.
Yes, it is.
And works the other way, too. It can
Yes.
get a great review, but nobody will go.
Because people don't enjoy it. I don't know.
Does it help to have an ethnic audience? You did this at the Jewish Repertory Theater, and there were a lot of Jewish references that people could identify with, but there were others, too.
Yeah, the audiences began to diversify, particularly in the extension. The Jewish Rep only provided 24 performances. We did 56. We had an enhancement producer, again, Louise Westergaard and Steve O'Neill, who extended it 4 weeks, and then the audiences started to mix. And if we move off Broadway, forget it. We're yet in another part of town where we're no longer under the umbrella of the Jewish Rep. We're just in a theater. I'm certainly not going to drop my Jewish characters, at least as long as they work, but I want to add, I have no Oriental, I'm missing a few. I want to go after it.
Do you have a path of where you want your career to go? I mean, it's been such a good, solid, steady, diverse career for all these years.
Yes.
Do you have any path where you want
When
to
it's
go?
time appropriate, that is when the children are older, I'd love to have my own series. I'd love to have a variety show. I would love to do Tovah Out of Her Mind on national television every week with Larry Ambrose, Jen Westfeldt, Gary Lyons, Jack Gottlieb, Rick Mitz, these wonderful people, Craig Cornelius, Scott Cady.
Do you think that the network people would go for a show of that nature?
I don't see why not. It works. They certainly went for Tracy Ullman, and I'd be happy to play Fox. I have no problem with playing any of the networks, major or minor. It just would be fun. I think I have something to offer, and I don't know if we have to come up with new characters every week. We keep some of these, change others, and like Grandma Ada. What you don't know is that she was busted for gambling with Cecil Somack when she was 72 years old. There's a story that's not in her monologue, but you could make her an episodic character in 5 seconds. So I would love to have my own repertory on television, just like this.
You're looking to do that sort of thing? Well,
yeah, to be picked up by TV, either to at least have Tovah Out of Her Mind filmed by HBO or A&E or a very good network, and then eventually extend that into a weekly plan where I could be surrounded by the people I love and that love me.
But you'd want to do it from New York?
Yes. I want to do it where my home base is and where my children are, and that's okay. And I'm willing to barter for that. Give up other things to do it.
But you've done very well.
Sarah Louise Lazarus, a wonderful director. Maybe she would be involved. Go ahead.
You've done so well by using New York as your base and doing most things in this area and not having to go out and live in California.
Yeah, I think this is where my luck lies. The Chinese proverb, change your place, change your luck. I think this is where my luck
You think it's luck?
No, I think it's hard work. They say luck is when excellence meets opportunity. I think you just keep after your craft, be true, try to dedicate yourself to a cause greater than yourself for whatever little thing this does to help an audience heal, feel better, feel that they can make transitions and transformations in their life because they see one human being playing 15 different people. Well, the message is, if I can play 15 different people, what do you think you can do? You can do anything. You want to lose 10 pounds, you can do that. You can talk like a Southerner.
Well, I'll tell you what we've done. We've run out of time.
All right.
And I really thank you very much for coming here.
Good
I
to see
really
you.
enjoyed it. It was wonderful. My guest today is Tovah Feldshuh, who is a wonderful actress, wonderful singer, wonderful performer. Whatever she does, go see her. You'll enjoy it. I'm Norman Liss. The name of this program is The Way to Go. And until next time, enjoy yourself.